Becky the Blank, Chapter 1. The flesh is weak. The leather couch creaks under me as I shift. My fake psychiatrist may be dumb, but she has good taste. I chide myself a little. She doesn't know she's fake, or probably even that she's dumb. She might be a fine psychiatrist for vacuous people who don't have real problems. That's not a judgment on those people. It would be nice for everyone to have someone to talk to. Rich people probably need someone to talk to. Or even if they don't need to, they probably should be able to. Rich people would probably like her office. It's exactly what a psychiatrist's office should look like, according to television. Calm down, Dash. She's got the shelves of books, probably fascinating to read, but most of them look like they've never been opened. I tried to open one during our first section. It creaked unsteadily in my hands, the leather binding fixed and stiff. It's too bad. They look warm and inviting, and if they weren't a prop, they'd probably be lovely. She's got the little sculptures, the perpetual motion beads, the Native American artwork that was probably drawn by a white lady with bleached blonde hair, and maybe 128th Native American blood. It's exactly what a rich person would want from their psychiatrist office. Probably doesn't hurt because she was picked for appearances. I could almost certainly not afford her if I was the one paying. She's not my real psychiatrist. But then again, my real psychiatrist isn't a real psychiatrist. Otis, who wears old cowboy boots that forever look like they're about to fall apart, doesn't really seem like a real psychiatrist. But that's what the papers that he keeps hanging on the wall of its small and generally empty office downtown say. I've only been in the office once for a picture. We usually hold sessions out at his ranch. It's familiar and comfortable for both of us. I lived there for a little while when I was 6. He's always lived there as far as I can tell. I've never asked if he's really a psychiatrist or not. He's got the papers, and people know him as one, but he's capable of all kinds of deceptions. He's always been my hero ever since he rescued me. But you start arguing with even your heroes if you hang out around them too long, and 14 years is a long time. He's the only one, except maybe Bella, who gets the whole truth. He's the only one I can tell without fear of getting locked up. I definitely can't tell rich person's idea of a psychiatrist here. She'd at very least have me on 7 kinds of pills. She already prescribes 3, and I used to just not take them. But my parents started spying on me, so Otis had a friend who works at the pharmacy, start switching them out for placebos. I don't know what happens to the real one. Maybe that's where Otis gets his money from. One week when I wasn't paying attention and Otis's pharmacist friend was sick, I got the real ones. I didn't notice because I was used to being obvious about taking my drugs, and I got super sick. Sure, I stopped being able to see the things, but the nightmares were so much more vivid, so much more real. Dr. RPIP, rich person's idea of a psychiatrist, is finishing up talking about how Whole30 could save my life. I should really try it. It's done wonders for her other clients. She stares at me expectantly. I'm always zoning like that, and people think it's because I'm not paying attention. And sure, with RPIP, that's what it is. But usually it's my flaw. I nod, but that doesn't seem to be enough. Maybe get me some documentation about it, and I'll try to add it to my diet I manage. And that starts her up again. I'm not talking about your diet, darling. It's about taking away. And off she goes about magical benefits, which I'm sure she lists, includes curing AIDS and some cancers. She loves calling me darling. Part of it's because it's literally crafted her persona for movie starlets and TV psychiatrists. But part of it is because it's my name. My last name, thank God. But she always gets a little wink and smile like we're sharing a secret, and that secret is my last name, because those are secret. I let my mind drift off again. For a second it sticks, like a broken, jagged toenail when you're trying to put on a sock, on the bad dreams. They are often vivid, and I understand that's part of the trauma. But it's worse when you can't talk about it with anyone except an old magic man who doesn't fully understand modern deodorant and maybe invisible partner. My parents have no idea what really happened and probably think it's their fault. My brother probably blames himself, and my sister, who was too young at the time to even remember, is still affected by how fucked up my parents were about the whole thing. Honestly, I end up feeling guilty because not that much happened to me. Not really. Sure, I saw some horrible shit, but my overreactions are what started the real trouble. Otis tells me that it's not my fault, and sometimes gives me a giant hug. He hugs good, considering the whole deodorant thing, and his arms are strong. When he thinks about it, he uses that stuff that smells like pine needles to cover up his masculine musk, but his hugs are really good. I wish I could believe him, though, that it's not my fault. I was only 6, so behaving like a child kind of makes sense, But it all comes down to the parts of me that are missing anyway, and that'll never grow back. So it still kind of feels like my fault. If I weren't born broken, nobody would have been put out, hurt, scared, or ruined. If I weren't born at all, maybe everyone would just have been better. I reach up and wipe a tear from my face. I hate that sometimes I can't control myself, but hurt isn't magic. Tears aren't magic. My life would be a hell of a lot easier if they were. And of course, Dr. RPIB looks at me satisfied. Well, I know I put a lot of fire in my excitement about changing diets, but that's the first time a patient has been moved to tears. I sniff and nod. Thankfully, Dr. RPIP was chosen specifically for her unwillingness to actually notice things or make efforts. Well, she says in that way that only Southern women who are done with you can, I feel like this was a genuine show of emotion over our efforts to improve you as a massive breakthrough, wouldn't you say? She looks at me and whispers what supposedly is conspiratorial tone. Darling. I wipe my face, mostly for me, but I can see how she might see it. I nod in what I hope is a sympathetic way so that she'll leave me alone. Maybe even skip to the final humiliation of the session. Doctor, I say hopefully. She loves being called doctor, probably because of some deep-seated trauma I'm not aware of, or maybe she just likes to feel superior. I'm not a psychologist. She looks at me. We're out of time. Maybe we could skip the mirror talk? Her face hardens for a second, and I'm worried. She's self-absorbed, but not entirely stupid. She is a psychiatrist. She went to school. Don't they have to be medical doctors? MDs aren't stupid. But like most of the time when I'm trying to understand the wheels turning in someone else's head, I'm wrong. She was just doing a calculus of what her time was worth. Nonsense, darling, she says after a moment. You could always bill a little more. She says, smiling that in fake way that skinny southern white women do when they think they're fighting the power. It's not like the government can't afford it, is it? I shake my head. I know I couldn't afford medical health care this good without the government paying for it. I used to kick myself for stealing mental health care from people who actually need it. Like if Dr. RPIP wasn't helping me, she'd be solving homeless youth issues or preventing some kid from self-harming. But I saw a balance sheet once. The only reason Dr. RPIP is helping me is how lucrative I am. The fact that I was once nearly a celebrity for my abduction is probably no hurt to it. I'm sure she'd write a book if I were more interesting. Maybe she will, still. She drags me over in front of the mirror. Mirrors are magic for some people. Some people see their best selves. They see who they want to be, who they could be. A handsome stranger staring back at them. Some people see far worse things in the mirror. They see themselves blown up to larger sizes, all their subconscious thoughts made manifest, every flaw huge and extreme. Some of that's magic. I just see what's really there. I stare at the mirror for a good minute like I'm supposed to. I'm short, a little over 5 feet. I won't say how little. I'm a little fat, chubby, a kind person would say before I punch them in the face. My hair is dull brown, my eyes a slightly brighter brown. My hair is cut short because I want to look like some famous person from one day to the next. I never do, but I imagine they don't look like they think they do either. My cheeks are round. I smile for a moment. My smile's okay. Pretty even. I don't smile very often. There are small dark bags under my eyes. I sometimes cover them up with makeup, but I find that kind of dishonesty did not serve me well with Dr. RPIP. She leans into the view of the mirror. She looks worse than I do, it seems. Skeletal in her bright blouse, like a scarecrow dressed in the latest fashions. The bright lights do not do any of us any favors. I feel mean for judging her. I'm sure whoever she's sleeping with is probably happy as long as she doesn't talk. God, I'm a monster. I feel guilty until she whispers in my ear, Darling, say the words. Ugh, the words. I lean into the mirror. I still see her behind me, wringing her little claws. The words. I forgive you. I managed to spit the words at myself. I forgive the girl who could have been, the one who's human and not responsible for ruining the lives of the people she cares about. I forgive her because people deserve second chances and are worth something purely by virtue of existing. If I were a human, I would forgive myself. Too bad I'm not.